What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein, and I got Dennis Big Sexy Clausen. What's going on, Dennis?
I wasn't just waking up for a nap.
No, of course not. I wasn't going to rat you out. I mean, I was going to let it ride if you wanted to let it ride, you know?
Well, I just turned 40, so that's what happens. That's what happens when you get older, man. You get tired.
It's natural.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You'll understand one day.
Trust me, I'm tired all the time. So by the time that happens, it's going to be even worse. Show. Yes. But I know you weren't with us last week because life and stuff gets in the way. But last week was funny because I almost fell asleep on my own before doing the podcast by myself. And I was like, this is going to look bad if I'm late and it's only me.
Right.
So I know in the same boat as you, for sure.
Yeah, I love sleeping when it's time to go to sleep, but I hate to go to sleep when I don't want to go to sleep.
That makes sense.
Like, I love sleeping. When I'm sleeping, I never want to wake up. Like, I mean, I want to, live and stuff, but
right.
When I'm sleeping, I just want to stay in bed. But it's hard for me to, want to go to bed.
Okay.
Because, if I'm doing other stuff, I'd rather do that.
That's what I was about to say. Because you start doing stuff or you start watching a game or whatever it may be, and it's just I don't really want to go to bed yet, but I know I probably should go to bed.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it's just, it's hard to, it's I don't want the fun to end.
Right. No,
especially if it's in the middle, it starts to get during the NBA season's horrible, and that's where I was talking to you before we came on, I was saying that's when I start to my body instinctively just wants to wake up, and that's usually why I happen to watch more NBA West Coast games than I do the 7:30 p.m. because you can actually watch the West Coast games uninterrupted, and that's a time usually the kids usually are sleeping by then, and so it's easier to commit to that. Now during the regular season though, anytime the Nets are on, I don't care what the fuck's going on, I'm watching the Nets,
Right. No, that's to say, with the Sixers, I'm like, yep, I'll take care of whatever it is the next day. Let me watch the game. Everything else can go on pause for a second here.
And I was just bitching yesterday, too, about how, I'm ready for football season to come back.
Yeah.
I'm sick of the bullshit, fun in the sun. I'm going to get away. I'm going to the beach. I'm going off the grid, going to the mountains or where the people are. I'm going camping. It's I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want football. Please. I'm not asking for a whole lot, because this time of the year right now is probably the worst time of the year.
I was just about to say it's the lull type of professional sports season.
And I mean, it's not a knock against baseball, but baseball sucks.
Well, especially this early in the summer, baseball sucks. You're looking for your laptop?
Yes.
What'd you do with it? Hi, is that the missus?
Sorry to
it is.
America.
Oh, you think all of America's watching?
That's all right.
That's nice of you.
She's giving us a little too much credit.
I know. But so I agree. So this early on in the season, baseball can be boring as it is. I did hear, and now I haven't watched really more than a couple games, but I did hear that people are enjoying the fact that the game is sped up with the pitch clock and everything. It's making it a little move a little faster.
You want to
But
talk like baseball for a minute or something? Let's
I
see
mean,
how
we
this
can.
goes. All
Yeah,
right,
we
let's
can.
just see how this goes.
But I will say the beginning of the baseball season is probably the most irrelevant a sport can be.
It is so hard. You start to get like, you're like, okay, this baseball season's here. The weather's going to start. Because by the time, like, I'm bitching now, but by the time, where I am, by the time March rolls around, you're just sick of the snow. And
Right.
you're like, thank God. So when you start seeing like spring training and stuff, you're good. But then baseball starts in like March, the end of March,
Mm-hmm.
and we're in June, and like the season's like only a quarter over
Right.
or a third over, whatever the hell the unit of measurement. So we're only in June, and this thing isn't even. And then we got to go July. Not that I need to tell people the what month comes after June, but it's just it's forever.
Like right now, as an
And I don't
example,
understand anything either.
right. Same. And also, can we talk about the fact that baseball is like the only sport where it has all these stupid unwritten rules, whereas like every other sport is just either a rule or not a rule. And like the only thing basketball has that's like not an actual rule is like, okay, don't go dunk the ball when you're already winning by 30 and the game's almost over. That's like really the only thing, but that's a sportsmanship thing. That's not even like a basketball thing.
Right. I don't get baseball.
I don't either.
It's
And
so
like
weird.
and like you said with the record, like as of right now, the Phillies are 25 and 38 or 25 and 28, sorry. In NBA terms, we'd be like they might not even make the playoffs. In baseball terms, we're like they could still be the number 1 fucking seed. And they're 25 and 28 right now
Yeah,
because
I don't get it. It's weird.
there's still another 100 more games.
And then you have these 100 games. Like, how many games have the Phillies played already?
They've played 25 53 games.
Dude, they have over 100 games left.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even. How is this possible?
There is 162 games is obnoxious.
That is so long.
That is obnoxious.
But it's, an NBA, like, I kind of wish they would knock like 5 games off because as much as I like watching like different talent other than the usual bums that are on TV, it gets to a
Right.
point you're like, oh my God, what are we watching? Like, none of these games mean anything. Nobody's
I agree.
playing. The
I
guys
mean, what
who,
did Michael Jordan and them was that still 82 games or was that less?
no, that was 82.
When what wasn't there a time where it was only like 70 some games?
You think I'm that old to where
I know there was at least at some point where it was like 70 some games. And I feel like that's not bad. So, like
no, I
around the
think 82
70 mark.
games is fine.
But I feel like 70 some games is would still be entertaining.
Well, because then what'll happen? Because if you slot 82 games, at least you'll get like 75 meaningful games, and the rest of the games are garbage.
True.
So if you knocked it
Um
down to 72, then you'll get 67 meaningful games, and you know what I mean?
the last time it was less than 82 games was in the 60s.
Yeah, don't age me, motherfucker. You're acting like I
I
know.
wasn't I wasn't saying that you were that old. I just didn't know when that was that it was less than 82 games. For
Like,
some reason I thought it was like the 70s or something that it was like, oh, they played 75 games.
It's like, didn't they stop wearing the shorts back when, where their balls were hanging out back when you were, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, I'm older than you, but I'm not that much older than you.
You were watching when Bob Cousy was in his prime.
I feel pretty good. I look good. Hair's
I,
good.
if you were watching while Bob Cousy was in his prime and you look like you do, that's a testament to you.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd want to be. I think I was born right at the perfect time because if you were born, I was born in '83. For those who don't know, I know it's surprising then, but there's a lot of cool shit that happened in the '80s, the late '80s.
True.
I mean, people were getting AIDS and shit. That wasn't cool, but the '90s were cool.
You were born. The year you were born was the last time the Sixers won a championship.
That's why I cursed it.
Damn it.
But there's a lot of cool shit going on in the '80s and '90s. Then 2000s when it started to suck. Then people started getting like weird in 2000s. And now everybody just fucking lost their mind.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it's going the correct
It's
way.
not going in a favorable direction.
No.
But yeah, baseball, I'm just kidding. Let's just end baseball and let's. June's going to be rough because we get the finals. It's probably going to end in 4 games. And then after that, then we get the draft, but that's pretty much in July because the draft's not to the 29th. And then NBA offseason starts July 1st, and that's when Summer League starts to pick up and stuff. August is going to blow, but the only thing that keeps you going in August is you at least have an NFL training camp and you have some NFL preseason games.
Yep. And you get all the fantasy drafts and everything.
Yeah, so you have shit to keep you going,
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't like, even with
and we
fantasy.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, honey.
No, go ahead.
My ADD's kicking in where I'm just interrupting you.
You're good.
I was going to say, we have that football draft already.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I was going to say, too, is out of fantasy drafts, I don't have to worry about any football ones other than that one until August. And then our 30-team basketball rookie draft isn't until August 1st. And then all my other basketball drafts aren't until, like, September at least. So,
which
like,
the draft means nothing to me in our one league. I have no draft
because you have no picks.
Right. I still somehow managed to lose by 2 fucking points.
I
but,
know.
Whatever.
I was offered your 2025 second round pick.
It's worth nothing.
I know.
It's probably not be worth anything.
I did think about this, though. Someone offered me it's like the 17th pick in the second round of this draft for Malachi Flynn, just straight up. And I was like, I mean, Flynn's not doing anything.
But you never know with the way things are going. Who knows what Van Fleet's going to do. So who knows what.
That's true. They could blow everything up as far as I know. So we'll see about that. But yeah, did you join the draft for the football league?
I did. He had to email me and yell at me because I didn't sign in. And I didn't know how to do that either. I'm like, I forget how to do it.
I know. So we haven't used it since the basketball one.
I finally figured it out and joined it. And then I'm like, okay, whatever.
Okay. It looks like we still have 4 more people left to join that draft.
Well, it ain't me. I did what I was supposed to.
Yeah, that one's going to be a shit show.
Yep.
I have a feeling my team is going to be completely awful in that league, but we're going to figure it out as it goes along.
Yeah, but the thing with these auction drafts is I've actually been pretty successful in a lot of auction drafts, just for the simple reason is that human nature, when people have money, they love to spend money.
Right.
So immediately, right off the bat, people are just going to be blowing their loads because they just want to spend their money and then once they spend a lot of their money, they go, oh shit, I just spent $100 on Nikola Jokic. Not calling anybody out in our one league, but I mean, that's half your salary right there. That's 50%. Then what else are you left with?
I know. That was crazy. And I have to definitely practice a little more patience for the football one. Because in the basketball one, I was being pretty patient, but then I was like, all right, I want to get somebody who's worth something. And I ended up getting fucking Ingram and Zion, and then we see how that panned out.
Yeah, not too well.
No. But anyway, let's actually talk some of our topics here. The most recent game from
Ugh.
yesterday. The game that all the Celtics fans and Celtics media and everybody was blowing their load for. The Celtics forced a game 7 after starting down 3-0. They tried to make history and so on and so forth. But it ended up not happening. They got blown out, and now they have a bunch of people hurt. What were your thoughts about the game? Or what were your thoughts about the whole series?
I don't even know where to begin because I don't want to sound like crabby and bitter and angry like I get accused of being a lot, but
Fuck it.
fuck it. What a joke. So I don't know. The Heat were up 3-0. So I don't know who sucks more. The Heat, the fact that they lost 3 games in a row and they managed to win, which was a big, part of it was Tatum getting hurt, which I'm going to get into that in a second because I ain't fucking buying that either. But so the Heat had 3 chances to put that game away before, and honestly, Game 6 was probably the best ending that you can ever watch in any pro sports game. That was the best ending ever.
Oh, it was
from
insane.
Derek White. But the fact that it took the Heat that long to get rid of the Celtics, who were playing like trash pretty much throughout a lot of this postseason, but everybody still loves the Heat. And they're still talking about the Heat like the Heat are going to be like some threat to Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets is laughable to me. Right. The fact that Nikola Jokic is now entering we might be talking about him being like a top 5 greatest player of all time.
True.
Especially when he wins a championship, because it's not if he's going to. He's going to win a championship. The Heat aren't that good. I'm still going to keep saying that. I don't think the Heat are that good at all. I just think, that famous question where everybody's like, well, what was it? Did the Heat win it or did the Celtics lose it? That's a stupid question, for one, because it's like the same thing. But if I had to answer, I would say all the teams that the Heat have played have lost the series. Like, they have not played to their potential. Right. I'm not impressed by the Heat whatsoever. I don't think that. Are they a better team than they showed in the regular season? Yeah. Do I think they're anything that is going to threaten the Nuggets? No. The Nuggets, if you look at the Nuggets starting lineup, those guys they've been pretty much rolling with the same starting lineup for most of the year. That team's pretty intact. They have Jamal Murray back after over a year of dealing with a knee injury. Jokic is arguably still, should have been a 3-time MVP.
True.
So, yeah, it's completely over. But getting back to the Celtics now are at they're at a point where they got to figure out what the hell's going to happen moving ahead. I don't want to hear anything though about Jason Tatum's ankle. I don't want to hear about why the Celtics lost, because Jason Tatum, pretty much there were a lot of times in the postseason where he played like complete shit, and I don't care what anybody says.
A lot of times
people can argue with me all they want and say I'm stupid and all that stuff, but I'm staying firm on this to where I'm going to say Jason Tatum played like complete shit. So throughout the regular season, Tatum averaged around 30 points per game, shot 35% from deep, which is okay. In the postseason, though, he averaged 27 points, shot 32% from deep, which wouldn't appear that bad. But if you break it down even more and you look at the Miami series, he shot 23% against the Heat.
Yep.
There were 2 times when he scored 14 points in that series. So
that's not even mentioning the time he scored 7 points in the Sixers series.
Right, and I'm being nice here. Like, I'm not even talking about that series. What was it, game 2? He scored 7 points against Philly.
Yep.
So he scored 14 points in 2 out of the 7 games during the Eastern Conference Finals. Not good. When you're a player of his caliber, you need to do better than that. And I don't want to hear his name in the MVP conversation. I don't want to hear anybody's name in the MVP conversation. I don't want to hear Luka's name in the MVP conversation. I don't want to hear Jason Tatum. I don't want to hear any of these guys next year because pretty much the only guys who are going to be back in the MVP conversation, in my opinion, are going to be the same 2 guys that were in it this year. And that's Jokic and Embiid. The only 2 guys who really deserve anything, because any guys after that aren't really impressing me that much. I mean, I've already said what I needed to say on Giannis, and now I'm going to say what I need to say on Tatum. On the other hand, then you have the other guy who everybody's talking about. Is he going to get an extension? Is he worth it? And I'm talking about Jaylen Brown, who began the postseason averaging 26 points against the Hawks. Or 22 points, or 26 points, against Atlanta. He averaged 23 points against Philly during that series. And then he averaged 19 points against the Heat, which is a pretty significant step down. Even worse, he shot 16% or 19% from deep during that series. So you're talking about your 2 guys, Tatum and Brown, who are pretty much going to lock up your entire roster for the foreseeable future, and you got to figure out how to mold your team moving ahead. It doesn't look really. I would not be encouraged by that at all.
Yeah, he only scored 20 or more points in 3 of the games in that 7-game series against Miami. And only 2 of those were games that they actually won. And that's supposed to be your second star, your second best scorer, your second best everything. And I was definitely on record saying I think Jaylen Brown is like the de facto leader of the team because there was plenty of points in this postseason, like we were just saying, Jason Tatum looking really bad, that I thought Jaylen Brown was the better player in the postseason a handful of times.
I think, honestly, we might be at a point now where could even be talking that Jaylen Brown may be more valuable to the Celtics than Tatum is.
That's true. And they're very close in age. I mean, Tatum's 25, Brown's 26, will turn 27 in like a few months. But in that game that we talked about where Tatum had 7 points in the Sixers series, that same game is when Jaylen Brown had 25 points. And in a bunch of those games against the Sixers, Jaylen Brown was carrying the team on both sides of the ball. He was a big reason why they beat the Sixers up until Game 7 when, of course, Jason Tatum just went nuclear and had his best game of his postseason career.
That was the only good game he had in that series.
Yeah. And, like, people will go back and they'll be like, oh, well, he had 36 points in the one. It's like, yeah, I mean, he shot okay. He shot 11 of 27, which is 40.7%, which isn't great, but they also lost by 12 that game, and he shot 11 of 13 from the free throw line. So, yeah, 11 of the 36 coming from the free throw line. So he technically had 24 on not efficient shooting at all.
You know who that reminds me of?
Who?
Shooting performances like that? Giannis.
That's true. With all those free throws as well.
Right, but the thing is, Tatum at least makes his free throws.
Yeah, which is a big difference, obviously.
But people look at how much he averaged. He averaged 36 points. He scored 36 points this game. He scored 1,000 this game. But a lot of his numbers throughout the postseason were inflated by like a couple good performances. If you take out like the mean, when we find the mean, what is it with them?
When you take out
math
the outliers.
math class. You find the mean.
Yeah.
It's not that good because he just didn't play well throughout the postseason. And
Right.
anybody who is satisfied with how he played, and if you're a Boston Celtics fan and you're okay with that, then you're a moron.
The other
And I
person
mean
that I
that in the
want to
nicest way possible. No, I
yeah.
don't. But you're an idiot.
The other person I want to talk about though is Al Horford. He was another
He's
guy.
97. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm talking about from a rival of the Celtics standpoint where the Celtics fans, players, coaches, they all were on Horford's nuts about how much of a winning player he is, and he makes the winning decisions, and he is the glue guy, and he does this and he does that. And Horford himself called himself an elite shooter. And then he goes on to shoot terribly after game 3 was the only game against Philly that he actually hit more than a couple threes. 1 for 4, 1 for 8, 2 for 7, 0 for 7, 0 for 2. And then again,
Still better than Giannis.
True. Against Miami, he had one good 3-point shooting game. He had a 3 for 6 in the first game they won in game 4. Otherwise, 1 for 5, 0 for 3, 2 for 5, 0 for 3, 0 for 2. Like, he didn't give them much of anything in terms of shooting, scoring, even.
But I'm okay with that, though.
But even distributing the ball when he's supposed to be this high post distributor that they used him in for a lot of the season. And then even rebounding wise, his rebounding wasn't even that great until they put Robert Williams on the floor with it.
Well, too bad Robert Williams can't play more than 12 minutes a game without risking injury, because that guy, when he was on the floor and Bam was having trouble against him, and he's so lengthy and good defensively that it's just, you got to get him on the floor. Like, I get it. There's a risk he's going to get hurt. He always gets hurt. He got a hand injury. He picked up another injury throughout the postseason, but I would not care. I'd be like, listen, if we're going to get anything from you, I'm going to at least run your ass into the ground and get an NBA title from you. If you want to tear an ACL or whatever, that's fine, but break a metatarsal, whatever you got to do, that's whatever. I really don't care at this point, because we're paying you millions of dollars. We're going to run your ass into the ground. We're going to get what we need from you. And then if you can't play anymore, then that's on you. But for now, you're going in. So warm up.
Yeah.
But the fact that, there are some games he plays 15 minutes and 20 minutes and whatever. But when he comes in, they're meaningful minutes. Like, the game, things get extremely altered when Robert Williams is in the game.
That's true.
But I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at Al Horford. Al Horford, like I said, he's 90, so nobody cares.
Right.
But really, outside of Tatum and Brown, there's nobody.
Derek White was amazing.
Derek White was good, but if you looked at how he played versus Philly, he wasn't really that good.
No, but for his role, I thought he played his role very well throughout the postseason.
Oh, Derek White, you and I have always been ranting and raving about our fondness for Derek White.
Oh, yeah. Still one of the best moves they've made in the last 10 years.
Yeah, when they picked him up from San Antonio, we thought that was awesome.
Yep.
Brogdon's hurt with a pretty severe forearm tendon tear, something he's got going on. So if he was 100%, how would that have made a difference? I don't know. But now we're at the point now, though, we're coming into the offseason. We got some decisions we got to make. The first thing we got to do is figure out what we're going to do with Jaylen Brown. Obviously, you don't have any other choice but to sign him to a lucrative extension. You really have no choice other than that.
No. Because you're not just going to go get another player that's at the same caliber or better than Jaylen Brown out of nowhere.
Because you could build that team around if you put some decent players around, like you could still lose Al Horford, you could lose Marcus Smart, you could lose Derek White, and as long as you have like quality guys that are just there playing good roles and backing those two up, you can get by.
Yeah.
With those two for a long time. But that needs to be their first priority. Then after that, they got to figure out what they're going to do with Brogdon, because Brogdon is going to make $23 million a year, and that's with the way the new CBA rules is and all that stuff. That's quite a bit of money. Like Horford made $26 million, but now he's dropping down to $10 million this season, which is fine. I'm completely fine with that. Right. Robert Williams is locked up for a couple more seasons. He's going to make 11, 12, 13 million. I'm completely okay with that. Derek White's going to make 15, 18, 19 million within the next couple seasons. Completely fine with that. Brogdon is tying up some of your cash. And then you also got to figure out what you want to do with Gallinari, who's making $7 million and never played a game. Now, if this dude can't, for one, anybody who says I want to go play in Europe, especially Danilo Gallinari, who I watched miss time because of a pulled muscle in his ass. He missed time because of that. I'd be like, you ain't going anywhere, pal. You know where you're going? To Boston. Nowhere else. You're not going to fucking play in the FIBA. You're not playing anywhere. The only place you're going is to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even want you going home wherever that is.
I would say the other person they have to look at, too, is Marcus Smart, because he's still locked up under contract for another 3 seasons after it, but his contract gets bigger as the years go on. It goes to 18, then 19, then 21 mil. But he's going to be one of the people that if you want to get value back for somebody and not trade, one of the two J's, he's going to be somebody that's going to bring back value if you want to trade somebody to get some more people back. Because if you trade away Horford, sure, his contract is cheap.
Are you going to get a pack of gum for him?
Exactly. That's the thing. You're
the really Thunder didn't even want him.
Yeah. So
But honestly, too, though, not to interrupt you, but how I am. But now you're at a point where you're not going to be able to afford to bring back Grant Williams.
That's true.
Peyton Pritchard, you got to figure out do you want to keep this guy, because they've invested a lot of energy and time into developing him, and he's shown flashes about how much money is he going to want when the time comes for him to enter free agency. Like, is this the guy we want to keep around, or are we just going to? They don't have any draft picks. They have a second round pick this year, but after that, they don't really have anything else. And then moving ahead, they're kind of strapped. They have first round picks, but then after that, they're kind of stuck, to be honest with you. And they don't really have much room in terms of flexibility to make some moves in the under the cap.
Right. Yeah.
Especially now with the new, you're going to hear, the second apron and all these other fancy terms that are going to make a nightmare for a lot of teams who got by before on being okay with pay the luxury tax and signing mid-level guys.
Oh yeah, the cap gymnastics are going to be crazy by the time the new CBA kicks in. And I was just gonna say, with Pritchard, he has a team option for next year for $4 million.
But you're gonna pick that up
for sure. And then just looking at some of the contracts for next year, you got Tatum and Brown taking up $62 million, just the two of them. And then adding Brogdon to that mix takes that up to $84 million. And then that's not even counting Smart, White, Robert Williams, or Horford's contracts. So those are 4 guys that, other than Horford, I could see them keeping all of them. So,
but I don't think I think at $10 million though, I don't see the benefit of getting rid of Al Horford.
I don't either, especially if you finally just use him off the bench and start Robert Williams and just hope he stays healthy.
But you can't. He'll never stay healthy.
I was about to say that's the major thing. So now you look at
I
the
mean, they
other
started Luke
backup
Cornett
centers.
during the season, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
And Mike Muscala.
Cornette is under contract next year for $2.4 million. So they're going to keep him and Sam Hauser. Mike Muscala is under a team option next year for $3.5 million.
You got to even pick that up.
I know. And like you said, Grant Williams this season was his team option for 4.3. He's gonna ask for over 10 million.
Oh, he'll get more
easily
than that.
Exactly. He's only 24 still, and he's shown to be a solid role player.
He'll go somewhere and he'll get a more consistent role, because there were times Grant Williams wasn't even on the floor during the postseason.
And it showed on some of the postseason games when Grant Williams didn't play because they were missing somebody like him. And that's another thing that I want to go back to is Joe Mazzulla had a lot of his weaknesses masked by how talented the team was. And this postseason, I think, exposed what type of a coach he really is, which is above average.
I love him so much, though.
Why?
Well, for one, his eye's all fucked up. You ever see his eye?
I did see his eye.
I don't know which direction he's looking, which is awesome. I've never seen the guy smile once. And when he answers question, he just gives one-word answers. Like that's a code. There's no fucking around. You wanna if you're the Celtics and you don't want to worry about a guy, catching a guy with his pants down around his ankles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about like taking a shit, talking about something else.
Right.
But if you want to find a guy who you have nothing to worry about, they found their guy. Because I don't even know if this guy would even know how to, like, please a woman. I don't even think he's interested, to be honest with you.
He went to West Virginia, so probably not.
Well, in that case, like his cousin or something. I wouldn't even think he would know how to, like... But I don't think this guy's, like, interested in women. I don't think he's... I don't know if he's married. I haven't gotten that far with him, and I kind of don't want to know because I kind of want to find out more stuff about him.
Right.
Because this guy, I don't know if he ever had like, you think I'm miserable. He's way more miserable than I am. And I don't know if...
He just looks miserable 24/7.
And I love every second of it, though. It is a pleasure. And just, it's an honor of a lifetime just to watch that guy and just how fucking miserable, crabby, and he just does not care. And I love every second of it. You look at his eye, and like I said, it's all fucked up. And it just every time I look at him, and I don't know if he's looking that way on purpose or what's going on, but it's just awesome to me. And he looks like he's 50 because he's like kind of going gray in some areas already.
True.
But I just think that's just because he's so pissed off all time. Yeah, he's stressed. He hates life.
Exactly. The last thing I want to say about the Celtics, though, is after this Game 7, there was a lot of excuses made for Boston's terrible Game 7.
Oh, yeah, and it all came with the ankle.
All of it came with the ankle. And they're like, oh, if he didn't hurt his ankle, we would have won. I'm like, first off, it's not like you lost by 4.
Right.
You got blown the fuck out.
And you barely won Game 6.
Exactly. And on top of that, Celtics fans, and especially like Bill Simmons or whatever, they talk about like, oh, if he was healthy, they would have won. But they neglect the fact that they went up against the Heat, who didn't even have their second best scorer on the court the whole series. And an unhealthy Joel Embiid. And they had to barely beat the Atlanta Hawks when DeJounte Murray got suspended, and they had other guys on their team that were hobbled. So, like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, no, they're not allowed to have excuses, but then, like, we can have an excuse for Jason Tatum in Game 7. Maybe you shouldn't have went down 0-3 to the fucking 8th seed.
Yeah, that would help. Boston fans are delusional.
I agree.
They're such a weird fan. Mocky Mock. You know what I mean? Like, Sam Adams. Mike Ha. They're just, for one, they sound like they're just the most uneducated people on the planet.
Agreed.
They're a bunch of assholes. Like,
Also
everybody
agreed.
talks about Philly fans being an asshole. Every time I've gone to Philly, within reason, I mean, I went to opening day that one year for the Phillies, and it was a fucking train wreck. But
sounds about right.
They're all pumped up because Bryce Harper. I was going to say Bryce Harper, but that's Boston. Bryce Harper was making his debut for the Phillies, so they're a little. I understand why people. I walked in a bathroom. I saw a guy peeing in a sink because the line was so long to get to the bathroom, and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Sure.
But Boston fans are the most. They're the stupidest fans. They might be the worst fan base ever. Everything about that city's dumb.
Like, I really think that Boston fans are like the least knowledgeable of the sport. They
all sound like they're just so dumb. And are they really that dumb, or is it like do they talk that way because they're all stupid, or do they literally talk like that?
That's a good question. We're gonna have to get some Celtics fans in here to ask.
Tom Brady, Chowder. It's like, okay, we get it.
All right,
but that's the only place though that people talk like that.
I know, it's weird.
Like, you have the New England accent, but that is like really on another level.
I know. And like, how does that even develop? Like, how do you get that bad at English?
I don't know, but if I was like with a girl from Boston and she's like, yeah, hotta, I'd be like, I can't.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, I'm leaving.
Honey, I can't. I'm limp. I'm out of here.
I'm going home now. Anyways, to get away from Boston.
Give it to me hotta. I'll be like, can you just stop talking?
I wasn't planning on coming home with Mark Wahlberg.
I'll be like, call me Marky Mark. Hotta Marky.
That'd be even worse.
God.
To get away from Boston, previewing the NBA Finals, because
Boston
I also
women must be the worst.
Oh, I couldn't
Pappy,
imagine.
Big Pappy.
Oh God!
All right, what do you want to talk about next?
Miami.
I just want to keep doing the Boston accent all day. No ma.
Just for the rest of the pod.
Garcia Para.
Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, what was his nickname? I don't know.
I don't remember. But I texted you this after Miami won the series. Bam Adebayo is going to get fucking roasted in this NBA Finals because we watched him have a couple good games in the Eastern Conference Finals and then continue to not show up and be a big part of the reason why they couldn't win another game until Game 7.
He did that shit last year.
Exactly.
Playoff Bam is a buffoon.
And the moment he faces any type of big man that can play any type of defense, literally any, like, average and up defense.
I was trying to reach my water bottle.
I got you. Bam Adebayo just disappears. He can't handle it. Robert Williams was shutting him down. We've seen Joel Embiid shut him down. We've seen all these other centers that can play at least an average level of defense just cause Bam Adebayo to disappear. And I will say, I've knocked Jokic for this a lot, but his defense has looked pretty good this postseason. And on top of that, there's no way Bam Adebayo is shutting down Nikola Jokic for more than one. I'll give it maybe one game, just because Bam can play some defense.
There's nobody in the league can stop him.
No.
And Embiid can't even slow him down. What makes you think Bam Adebayo is going to do anything?
I mean, Embiid did slow him down a game, but that's beside the point.
But that's Embiid, though. Like,
I know that's another MVP, not Bam Adebayo.
that's a different caliber. Like, I'm okay if Joel Embiid gets the best of him because he's really, like, at times, because they're gonna go back and forth. Like, that's expected. Okay, I'm not Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Anthony Davis is 10 times the defensive player than Bam Adebayo, and we saw what he did to Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis might be like the best defensive big man in the league.
Right.
And Jokic still like went ape shit.
Yep. Easily. Swept them.
Right. And they've been with their thumb up their ass for a week now.
Exactly. They're fully rested now. They've just been sitting there chilling. And on top of that, when you look at the starting fives and match them up, there is only one player on Miami that is better than one of the starting five of Denver, and that would be Jimmy Butler, who I would say is pretty obviously better than either Michael Porter or Aaron Gordon.
But honestly, though, at this point, and you're probably going to agree with me, but I would be like, Tyler, keep wearing that stupid hat because you're not coming back. Because the minute your ass gets back on the floor, you're going to fuck it up just like you did everything else throughout the year.
That's true, and that's the thing. You're gonna throw him. They're targeting Game 3 to bring him back. Nope. You're gonna throw him in with a messed up hand and just be like, "Well, hope he can score." Like in the finals,
right?
What?
And play no defense like you always do.
Exactly. Like when you.
But I would want him to play too, though, because if I had a guy on my team who dressed like that, I would be like, okay, can you just put a uniform on, like. Be like Haslam. We know Haslam's not going to play, but he still puts a uniform on. Right. Just do that.
Honestly, just
because you look like a moron. And it's like you can't afford to not look like you went to a thrift store to get your clothes. These guys are so dumb. Like, why can't we just get a nice suit or a nice like you got to wear the stupidest shit on the planet?
I do not understand the fashion in the NBA at all anymore.
It's garbage.
I mean, I watched James Harden come in with some ridiculous fucking outfits throughout the playoffs. And, I mean, there was also Dylan Brooks who showed up with like a fucking fishnet vest and a jean shorts.
Well, like, he's a moron anyway, so.
True. I'm just waiting for another wacky inflatable arm tube man type of sweater like Kyle Kuzma.
He's an idiot.
Some of these guys make Russell Westbrook seem like he dresses normally. And
but Russell Westbrook does not dress normally. No, he doesn't, but it works for him.
Right. I like Russell Westbrook too, but some of the things he wears, I'm like, that's a little weird.
But you know why I don't mind Russell Westbrook wearing that, though? It's because he's not a pussy, though.
That's a good point.
Like, he could wear that, and if you said something, I mean, look at what he did to the guy in Phoenix.
True.
He went up to him, he's like, shut your mouth. And the guy's just sitting on a couch. You know, miraculously, Russ turns and walks away, and then the guy starts jawing. I'm like, good for Russell Westbrook, though. Don't put over that shit, these idiots.
Oh, yeah. Nah, Russell needs to not let them drag him down to their level.
No, but sometimes you got to do it, though, because these fans are...
yeah. Some of the fans need a reality check. That's for damn sure.
And you know, too, like, look at the Suns owner. You know, getting involved. And his name's escaping me, but that's because I really don't... Yeah, Matt, but it's not even spelled, like, correctly. No. But...
His last name starts with an I, which was weird.
But the guy takes the ball.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the ball just dribbled into the stands and they handed it back. It was like, I got the ball and I'm going to be a complete asshole and not give it back. Jokic rips it from his hands. And for one, too, Tony Brothers, he needs to retire because now I'm thinking about the call from Tony Brothers and he's an idiot. He's made a lot of stupid calls throughout the postseason.
Him and Scott Foster both need to go.
Yeah, and I told you last night they were officiating. This ought to be fucking good. I thought it was going to come down to something stupid.
I thought so too.
But he takes the ball, and then there's one fan who reaches over and touches Jokic on the shoulder, which he shouldn't touch a player. I get it, but the owner stays, and this guy gets ejected, and he did a tenth of what the Suns owner did.
Yeah, and like the Suns owner, like he flopped. He like flopped back into his seat, acting like Jokic assaulted him.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, grow up.
This guy is not like, I used to like the Suns, but he's not making a good name for himself. And I know we're talking about the finals, but whatever. But
Yeah.
look at all the dumb shit he's done immediately. He comes in, he gets rid of Mikal Bridges and like all these first round picks for that. I'm not even going to say his name. I'm just going to say that. Who didn't look too good. I don't care what anybody says, but he looks like an old man at this point.
No, that's true. He does.
You got rid of Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, and Mikal Bridges is the most. Phoenix's biggest issues is health. When your biggest stars, Chris Paul, hurt again in the postseason, Devin Booker hurt, Kevin Durant got hurt, big stretch, and you're going to get rid of the guy who plays 82 games.
Not only that, but all of the issues that arose in that series were all the things that Mikal Bridges was good at.
And now we're talking about getting rid of DeAndre Ayton. I hope DeAndre Ayton leaves.
I hope they trade DeAndre Ayton for Kyrie Irving.
I hope so too, because that's going to be a shit show.
Yep.
I'm going to love every second of it.
That would be amazing. But my thing for this series, I think Denver sweeps, to be honest.
I'll give Miami one game.
I don't know. I just feel like they're just going to sweep them pretty easily.
I said the Nuggets were going to sweep the Lakers.
You did.
I was completely wrong on the other one, but so was everybody else, so I really don't care.
I was too, yeah. I think I
said you
Boston
and every other person in America.
I think I said Boston in 5 or 6. I forget which.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. Good for the Heat, but if they're not going to win more than one game.
No.
And I'm just being generous.
Yeah. Because, like, when it comes to them playing Boston shot so terribly from 3. Denver's not going to shoot that bad from 3. On top of that, you have one of the 2-time, arguably could have been 3rd-time MVP that can do everything. On top of Michael Porter Jr. hitting timely shots, Jamal Murray actually averaging the most points on the team. And then all of the role players that they have that can do so many things, including play very good defense in terms of Aaron Gordon, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Bruce Brown.
The thing about Denver, though, is that their team is better in terms of, like, if Murray ain't doing anything. If Murray isn't doing anything and Jokic, if he struggles, there's still, like, Aaron Gordon can get hot. Michael Porter Jr. can get hot. We've seen Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who he was a joke when he was with the Lakers.
Yep.
And now he's like a big part of their rotation. Bruce Brown was the pickup of the decade because he's great.
Big time.
They have a bunch of guys who can play well enough to make a difference.
Caldwell-Pope has put up 21 points in multiple games this postseason. They've won both of them pretty easily, I might add. One of those was a 25-point win over Phoenix.
And Nikola Jokic is... Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Go ahead.
I was just saying, and he was a plus 21 and a plus 16 in those games, on top of him playing great defense.
And I was going to say, Nikola Jokic has had either a triple-double or close to a triple-double in, like, the past 5 or 6 games against the Heat. So, yeah, good luck.
I mean, in the series against the Lakers, he averaged 27, 14, and 11.
What a loser.
And he shot 50% from the floor and 47% from three.
What a loser.
And we were talking about how bad the Celtics were from three. Let me just pull up this side by side because it looks even worse than it sounds. The Celtics shot 30.3% total as a team in the whole 7-game series. In the sweep of the Lakers, Denver shot exactly 10% better. They shot 40.3%, with Murray shooting 40.5, Jokic 47, Michael Porter 42, Caldwell Pope 44, Bruce Brown 36, Jeff Green 40, and Aaron Gordon only shot 27.3% from three, which is down from his norm this season. So Aaron Gordon could even start hitting threes now.
Kudos to...
There it is.
Kudos to Aaron Gordon. You go from the shit show of Florida to you're playing in the NBA Finals. Good for you.
Agreed. I always thought he was not a number one option like Orlando wanted him to be, but I thought he would be a great third to fourth option.
This is his best role right now.
Yeah, agreed.
But I don't know what's going on in Florida. We got the Panthers, the Florida Panthers.
Yep.
We're going to Stanley Cup, and they were an 8 seed.
And then you got the Heat now.
So, hey, whatever DeSantis is doing, it's working.
I guess so. But yeah, like I said, I think Denver sweeps.
That's because they got all them transgenders out of the state.
Oh my god.
That's because we don't have any guys wearing skirts down here.
It's because we got Disney up out of here.
Those woke Disney. You go to Disney, next thing you know, you're coming out wearing a dress.
But
you know it too. There's some banjo shit going on down in Florida.
Oh, Florida is a case study waiting to happen. Everything in Florida is weird and different.
It's you got pythons running around,
gators,
alligators eating people. You got the Everglades. You got the Florida Keys where you have bull sharks all over the place. Hurricanes. I'll take the snow any day of the week.
Coke heads and crack heads all over the place.
Yeah, meth heads.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take the snow and the furries any day of the week.
There you go.
At least down here we ain't got kids dressed like cats.
Yeah, because it's too hot for that.
Yeah, they don't want. Are you kidding me? They don't want fur.
No, they'd be sweating.
My kid said he was a cat. I threw him out.
I threw him to the gators.
Yeah, threw him a gator. What a bunch of holy shit! Like, I don't think Florida gets enough recognition for like how hillbilly Florida is.
So those like bayou swampy areas and those country areas of Florida are scary.
So, like what are like Tallahassee? Like I don't know the redneck parts of I think like Miami's like that's where the Everglades are. I think. So Miami, you're either going to get shot, or if you leave Miami, then you're going to go and get eaten by a boa constrictor in the swamp.
Yeah, you really don't win either way.
Sounds awful. And then you got a hurricane coming.
Yep.
And I'm good with the snow.
And floods.
No, yeah, I'll take the snow and the woke liberals any day of the week.
Agreed. So moving on to some coaching.
This is a political podcast now.
Political pundits, Big Sexy and Big Zaddy Fish.
And I don't mind transgenders. I was just playing a part like I was a hillbilly. I don't know if anybody heard the accent.
Yeah, it's all satire here.
Yeah, I was playing a character.
Exactly. Coaching news. Nick Nurse chooses Philly over the Phoenix Suns. I will say.
I mean, Dak doesn't have a job. I'm sure he could come back.
No, I'm good. I will say, though, maybe Nick Nurse knows something we don't about the whole Kyrie Irving thing, because maybe he chose Philly because he was like, you know what? Those crazy assholes over there are going to trade somebody else to go get Kyrie, and I don't want to be here for it.
I mean, I've only been saying it for a month. I think I have it pinned to my Twitter that this is going to happen. We're just waiting. We got to wait for July 1st because it's going to happen. And, you know, if the Mavericks, all they had to do was get rid of Spencer Dinwiddie, who I love Spencer Dinwiddie. But if all you had to do to get rid of Spencer Dinwiddie and, you know, you had to take Kyrie on in order to get DeAndre Ayton back, that's a brilliant move by Dallas.
I 100% agree, because that's what they've needed for so long.
But this Suns owner, though, has shown like he's willing to make these stupid moves.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been the talk about like if they're going to even keep Chris Paul, but if you bring in Kyrie and also get rid of Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, you're asking for the team to just fall into like the abyss. Chris Paul is the leader. He's been the leader this whole time. So now you're getting rid of your young up-and-coming center, your on-court and off-court leader, to bring in a guy who thinks the earth is flat.
We're beyond that now. We're just talking about a complete asshole. Like, I'm beyond the cute, you know, Sage, he's blessing the court. But I'm beyond that. This guy's just a complete fucking cocksucker. I can't stand him. I want nothing to do with him. And I can't stand listening to him. Pardon my language for the kids on the bus, but I can't stand this guy. I'm so fucking tired of him. I can't do it.
I don't know. I saw there's a post about him talking about like a potential shoe deal coming back, and I commented on it, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be with Skechers, and he's going to do a joint ad with Martha Stewart.
Hey, he better not touch Skechers, because I wear Skechers all the time. I love Skechers.
No, I know, but
Skechers.
I was just like, it's going to be something just random in terms, because like, Skechers doesn't make basketball shoes. But they're going to pair him up with Martha Stewart, because Martha Stewart gets paired up with anybody.
She's a lovely woman. They should not, like, it's cute when she's with Snoop Dogg.
Right.
It won't be cute when she's with that idiot.
No. Her and Snoop Dogg are actually friends, and Snoop has a lot more life wisdom than Kyrie does.
You can't hate Snoop Dogg.
No.
If you hate Snoop Dogg, there's something. Even Snoop Dogg puts a smile on my face, and that's not easy to do.
He probably puts a smile on Missoula's face.
Yeah, Missoula, his eyes all fucked up. He just goes. That's it. For all the who can't see, who are listening on our Spotify stream, I did like a little smile. But yeah, it's happening, because you know, if you're a coach and you go into that situation, you're not going to be a coach very long.
Right. Exactly. And so I was talking with a friend of the show, Alec Walt of Down the Block Sports, and where's he
tonight talking shit like he was last week or whenever it was?
That's a good question.
You don't hear much from him now, huh? Walt?
That's true. We'll have to ask him what he thinks about the Boston accent, because I don't think he's actually from the Boston area, but he is a Boston fan. So I feel his family's from Boston.
If he came on the show and he talked like that, I would leave immediately. I'm like, I am not listening to this fucking garbage for an hour plus.
He doesn't even sound like he's remotely from Boston, so I don't know where he grew up actually. But anyway, I was talking with Alec, and he thinks that Nick Nurse made a mistake and should have picked Phoenix. And
Yeah, he is from Boston.
and I said to him, he was like, unless maybe Kevin Durant is just that bad. And I was like, he has gotten his last, 4 or 5 coaches fired because he couldn't make it work. And the only coach that he hasn't gotten fired is Steve Kerr, because we've obviously seen how good of a coach Steve Kerr is before and after him. So, like, honestly, there could be a good amount of coaches out there that don't want to take that risk. And on top of that, it sounds as though Nick Nurse was friendly with Joel Embiid, but he also has connections with Daryl Morey, because Nick Nurse got his G League coaching job through Houston. And so there was an actual friend connection there instead of like, maybe let's go over here and I might get fired in a season because Kevin Durant didn't take us to the finals again.
Well, they were for one, I have so much to say right now, so just bear with me. But they were talking about bringing D'Antoni, and you want a guy who does not play anybody off the bench? You found him. And you think Joel Embiid's hurt now. Wait till Daddy gets in there and starts running his ass 37, 38, 39 minutes a game. Then we'll see how cute things are down in Philly. But the way their bench looks, he might have to, because they really don't, fuck you going to bring off the bench down there? They got nobody.
That's true. They're, like, campaign isn't even healthy right now.
I'm talking about Philly.
Philly's got some decent bench players that they can put in the regular season.
Come on. You can't say that and be confident in your answer. You know that.
I can name 3 to 4 guys off the bench that I'm comfortable seeing in the game in the regular season.
No, I'm talking about when it matters.
When it matters, there's 2.
I'm not talking about, B-ball Paul. I'm not talking about.
Hold on now. B-ball Paul put up some very impactful minutes in the playoffs. He was one of the only bench players. Him and Melton were the 2 bench players. I knew you were going to say
Melton, but okay, I'll give you those 2. But outside of that, are you comfortable with anybody else?
No, not in the playoffs. No.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you want to pretend like that bench is okay, I mean, hey, more power to you, pal. But
no. There has to be some moves made. I thought McDaniels was going to be a great addition to that bench, and then I don't know if it was just he lost confidence because Doc Rivers is very quick to pull people out of there, or if he just can't hang. But I don't know what they're going to do with him anyway, so.
I was just so surprised, though, right? Because Ime's been sitting out there forever, right?
Yep.
In my opinion, I'd rather have Ime as the head coach. Even though Nick Nurse has a title, I still think Ime is a better coach.
I agree.
They've been talking about firing Doc for 3 seasons. Don't you think when Ime was available, like at any point, because they could have brought him in, the Hawks did it. With Quinn Snyder, they brought him in with like halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
The minute Ime was available, I would have been like, "Oh, Doc, you just lost a game. Up, you're fired. It's not working out." He's like, "Wait, but I'm 10-1." You know what I mean? I would be like, "Nope, sorry, Doc, it's not working," and I would immediately hire Ime, especially the minute the Celtics said, "Well," because it took a little bit for the Celtics to finally say, "Hey, we're getting rid of him," but I would say, Ime, what are you doing? Pull your pants up and get to Philly, because we're hiring you. And I would just hire Ime. Right.
I agree.
But now he had to, and then on top of that, so they fired, Monty got fired.
Yep.
And then Budenholzer got fired. Nick Nurse is a good coach. Like, they could have gotten way worse coach, but any of these teams, like the Bucks, like, I get it, but You fuckers missed out on some good coaches.
Yeah, I'm for some reason I didn't think Budenholzer ever was like in Philly's actual plans of
Well,
getting a
good.
coach. And then Monty, I was all for because A, he was an assistant at Philly before, and B, his offensive sets and everything were the creative offensive plays that the Sixers needed instead of just running the same fucking pick and roll and ISO all the time. And the thing that I do like about Nurse though, I will say, I like his defensive IQ in terms of coaching. But
You
I
could have got that
also
from Ime.
true, true. Again, I still would have rather had Ime as well. I'm not arguing that point. Um, but I will say that he was one of the first coaches that was able to throw a bunch of defensive schemes at Joel Embiid to actually make it work and shut Joel Embiid down. And if he can kind of bring that to Embiid and be like, look, this is how they stop you. This is how we've stopped you before. We're going to kind of like reverse engineer that into an offense to help you succeed. But on top of that, actually work in an offense that promotes moving the fucking ball more often, then it will be perfectly fine. And I will also say it kind of, even though it puts the Sixers in a tough spot if Harden leaves, it almost makes me happy that like Nick Nurse is a hard ass, so it might make Harden leave and get somebody else. Because I'm so fed up with. I mean, I said it on here. I wasn't a big fan of the trade to begin with to get Harden. I rather would have had Halliburton from the start. That's obviously neither here nor there anymore. But I need something to fucking happen when it's a big moment and all they do is revert back to like, oh no, we have to wait till the shot clock's at 5 seconds before we can make a play, and it has to be an ISO play, and it has to be either Harden or Embiid because nobody else can do anything, and we don't know what else to fucking do on offense. Just anything else. Figure it out.
Well, it's a new era in Philly.
True. Yeah, but no, I agree with you. I would have chosen Ime 10 times over Nick Nurse.
Absolutely. But Nick Nurse, he won a title, so.
True. I do think Nick Nurse is a very good coach.
And it's kind of apropos. I don't even know the meaning of that word. I just decided to say it.
Either.
But it feels like it fits. But the closest Phillies come to a title, they lost to a team that had the guy coaching who's now their head coach.
Right. I do think it's funny that in that same series, Joel Embiid told him to stop bitching about fouls.
Hey.
And now they're on the same team.
Hey, now they're going to be pals.
Exactly. Now he's going to be like, wait, no, more fouls.
Yeah, well, we know who's more important to that organization, so I think Nick Nurse will be sending Joel Embiid a gift basket. He's going to send him a coat made of like lion's fur from his native land in Cambodia, Cameroon, one of those places. True. A zebra head, a rhino horn ground up into pills to help with him with male enhancement. He's going to get all this shit from Nick Nurse.
Probably.
And by the way, if you're one of those guys who thinks that getting a rhino horn is going to get you a bigger boner, you're a moron. Stop killing the rhinos.
Agreed.
Thank you.
I didn't think that's where tonight's episode was going to go, but I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But to finish things off,
there are a lot of things I can't stand lately.
I agree with that. There's a lot of things in the world that are just annoying. So I would agree with that. Anyway, last topic here for the night. The Toronto
You want to talk
Raptors.
about Bob Myers real quick?
Oh, we can talk about Bob Myers too. We'll bring him up right after this.
I mean, I did all this research. You're not going to skip past it for me.
We won't. Um, do you think the Raptors should go after this number 3 pick, and do you think they should just
listen to this,
blow it up
okay?
in the process?
If I were the Raptors, right, and we're turning a corner here, you know, we're Van Vliet's probably going to opt out. There's a chance he's not going to be back.
Right.
So, if we're building around Scotty Barnes, we could probably, and I'm pretending like I'm running the Raptors now, we could probably get the number 3 pick, which either is going to get you, you know, either Brandon Miller or Scoot.
Yep.
Probably Scoot. So then you're going to have Scotty and Scoot. And then if you traded Pascal Siakam to Portland, you could wind up with like Anthony Simons.
That's true. They have talked about wanting to package Simons with the number 3 pick. So.
And you can even kind of maybe even work your way into Shaedon Sharpe. So
that'd be
you're
a nice just kickstart of a rebuild right there.
I mean, that would be a pretty goddamn good rebuild, if you ask me.
Agreed.
So the Blazers then would have, you know, Lillard and Pascal Siakam. Nurkic would still be like Nurkic not going to go anywhere, I don't think. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do with Jeremy Grant. I mean, but honestly though, if you want to keep Jeremy Grant, you could maybe play him at the 3, but then you're going to figure out like, am I going to like maybe move Nurkic and just put Pascal at the 5, or are we going to keep Nurkic and have him roll at the 4?
Well, if I'm the Raptors, I might explore just also shipping away OG with Siakam and getting like the number 3 Sharpe and Anthony Simons.
I think that might be a little too much, but I think Sharpe's stock went up because he was playing so well toward the end of the season when they had 15, 19 guys hurt at the end of the season. But I mean, I could see like OG winding up in Houston, something like that. Houston getting traded.
True.
Or Houston trading for him because he's a young guy. I think Toronto's not going to benefit by keeping him on the roster. I think a fresh start's going to be good for him. But if you built a team, you know, if you even started and your team was like Scoot, Scotty Barnes, and Anthony Simons, it's pretty. Even if you got like little in return from Portland, and they didn't want to send Shaedon Sharpe, and you got little, okay, whatever. At least we got Anthony Simons. He's locked up under a contract. We're going to keep him.
Young.
He's very young. He's still got plenty of room for growth, and yeah, I don't know. I would see in the Blazers would get a superstar back because Pascal Siakam played pretty damn good this season. True. And they would get a superstar back and keep Lillard happy and try, you know, a couple more seasons to see what they can do to make something happen before he decides to finally get fed up and want to go somewhere else to end his career.
Honestly, too, if I'm the Raptors, after making that kind of deal, I might look at the Knicks and see if they want OG. Throw OG with Brunson and Josh Hart, and then maybe try and get a couple of their younger guys. Like, even if they value OG that much, see if you can get a Quickly or a Obi Toppin or any of those guys, and already throw in some younger role players in there too.
Yeah, if they got Quickly, like if they orchestrated a deal for Quickly for OG, you would need to do that in a heartbeat.
Oh.
With that being said, though, I don't think anybody would ever be that stupid. Well, it's the Knicks, so who knows? But I would hope that nobody would be that stupid to where they would want to trade OG for Emmanuel Quickly.
I would hope so too, but yeah, you never know with the Knicks. That's the big thing.
Because that would quickly be the beginning of the end of the Knicks.
I see what you did there.
What? I didn't do anything. Yeah, fuck that. They no way in hell they're gonna do that.
No, I agree. But yeah, I do think that they might as well look into it, go with. I mean, Siakam isn't getting any younger. At this point, the roster is not at the point of championship contention, and you don't even have a coach yet. So there's a lot of moving parts still. I'd say go for it. Get that high pick and see what you can get out of it. So with that being said, we'll move to our actual last topic with Bob Myers stepping down from the president and GM spot of the Golden State Warriors. What are your thoughts? I'm excited to hear this research you did.
What I mean, I just did, well, some extensive research.
Okay.
I feel like we're having a. I feel like we're gonna do like a funeral for Bob Myers. So I was trying to find funeral music to put on. We're not working our way up to sound effects here, people. But yeah, I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time though before. I think Bob Myers is going to find a job real quick. I don't know what the reason is for him to. Like, he seemed pretty like distraught that he was that he was leaving Golden State.
Yeah.
So something had to be out there to make this guy, like, something had to. He's only 48 years old.
Right.
So for him to like be this heartbroken, it would mean that somebody pissed him off, which I don't think happened, or somebody made him, or at least gave him an offer that he couldn't refuse, basically.
I feel like it has to be surrounding the whole Jordan Poole, Draymond Green thing.
Honestly, I don't even think it's that, because I think if Myers were still around, like, that problem could be solved real quick.
True.
Well, honestly, I think maybe Myers is at the point too, though, where he knows that he's not going to bring Draymond Green back, and he might be like such a nice guy that he'd rather just put a bullet in himself. It might. I mean,
I agree. I
like,
see
he's
where
got
you're
this
going with
love fest for Draymond that I think he doesn't have the heart to be like, I'm not re-signing you.
True.
But now him and Draymond could stay boys, but he's going to go somewhere else and make a ton of money anyways. But I just don't think he knows how to handle, like, not being, because everybody always talks about how much he's a nice guy he is.
Right.
How friendly he is. He builds a rapport with his players and stuff like that. Like, so with that said, we can go back and look at some of the historic moves of the Bob Myers era. So in the 11-12 years he was there, we're talking about a guy who 6 NBA Finals appearances, 4 titles within that time. They lost to Toronto, which they could have beat. They could have had 6 titles. And they lost to Cleveland, so they should have had 5, because there's no way in hell I'm ever going to go down and say that Cleveland should not have won that series. No. But his boy goes back to Draymond. His boy is, we'll blame it on Draymond. How's that? So
that's fine with me.
But he signed on with the Warriors back in 12.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he was promoted. That's when the era officially kicked off. So Draymond Green, 2nd round pick, 35th overall in 2012. Huge move. Believe it or not, at the time, bringing Jarrett Jack into Golden State was a pretty significant move. He did draft Harrison Barnes, it is Harrison Barnes' birthday, so I know you're listening out there, Harrison, so happy birthday to you. You're great.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. Traded for Andre Iguodala, which was huge.
Finals MVP Andre Iguodala.
Big move. Even bigger move right here. Fired Mark Jackson's ass. A guy who hasn't even had he's had all this opportunity to have a coaching job, and he still hasn't got a coaching job. But yeah,
he's been listed as a candidate for tons of jobs since then.
But he just wants to go around and just bitch that he doesn't get. I think he's just like, I don't know what's going on with that, but he doesn't. Everybody's always like, well, how come Mark Jackson doesn't get a job? I don't know. Ask him. He could have had a job probably 6 times by now.
There has to be something going on in the background to cause him not getting a job because of how many interviews he's been getting.
I mean, there hasn't been. I can't remember this many amount of like. Nobody wants the Pistons job. You can't. You tell me you can't get the Pistons job.
Right.
Like I think they're going to call me soon and tell me to coach.
They offered a humongous big contract to Monty Williams, and he turned it down.
Do you blame him?
No, but like you got to be able to get Mark Jackson.
He locked up Curry to a big contract in 2012. Brought in Kevin Durant. Traded for Andrew Wiggins. Drafted Kevon Looney. Drafted and signed Jordan Poole, which at the time seemed like it was a pretty good good move until Jordan Poole averaged 10 points in the postseason. So, but now, yeah, I honestly, here's what I think. I think Bob Myers, I think he didn't want to come to the realization that I don't think he's like real high on what Jordan Poole did. Like,
right.
Even starting to the season, at the beginning of the season, all the way until, because he's going to stick up for Draymond because he loves Draymond. Draymond shouldn't have punched somebody, but that's, neither here nor there or whatever. But I think he's at the point now, he's like, I don't know how to tell Draymond that, it's like when you're the guy in high school and like the ugly girl in school with like pimples and stuff wants to go to the prom with you. So instead of like breaking her heart and going with somebody else, you just don't go.
Right.
I mean, that's the only. So this is what's how he's like, I gotta go. I can't not tell my boy that I'm not going to resign him, that he's not worth it. And then he's got to figure out how to tell Klay Thompson that, I mean, you're going to be looking for money here soon too, and I'm not going to resign you either because you suck now. So he's like, I'm out of here. I've done all I need to do. I don't see a path out of here. Oh, he brought in Steve Kerr too. But I don't see a path like to make things better here. So I'm just leaving.
Honestly, it's better.
Let somebody else deal with it.
Like, because then you don't look bad if something goes wrong where, like, you trade away Draymond and you don't get good enough value coming back, or you choose, so then you, like, choose Jordan Poole over Draymond, and that affects your friendship or whatever it may be. Like,
see, I'm not so crazy now, am I?
No, it's not a crazy theory. I will add, though, to Myers' resume, he is 2-time Executive of the Year.
What did I say?
I don't remember you even bringing it up.
Well, I wrote it down, so I think, of course, I brought it up.
Well, just to make sure. He
All
also,
right, well, it's at the top of my list. He's a 2-time Executive of the Year.
Yes. He also, just some of the kind of like lower level signings that ended up being pretty nice. Kent Bazemore. Bazemore did really well for the Warriors and then pretty much did nothing for anybody else. Maurice Spates was another big signing at the time, along with Jermaine O'Neal. And then some of the other signings, Sean Livingston in 2014, after he hired Steve Kerr, signed Sean Livingston to a multi-year contract, who ended up being one of their best role players in this whole era. And on top of that, he also signed people like Leandro Barbosa, who did a good bit for them. Justin Holiday did very well for them. He also signed Anderson Varejao, that did pretty well for them as a backup.
So basically what you're saying is he signed a bunch of guys who, because they were so far over the cap that they had to sign anybody who would play for the team.
That's true, but they ended up being like really good contributors. Like JaVale McGee in 2016. JaVale McGee was a very good contributor for that team.
Again.
Jordan Bell, another one that really was kind of non-existent and then played very well for him.
Eric Pascal.
Also true. DeMarcus Cousins. He signed DeMarcus Cousins too.
Yeah, that worked out.
Before he got hurt. Andrew Bogut. Another one. brought him back, traded him
From the
away,
dead.
Traded him away, and then brought him back. And I thought there was one other move I looked at. Oh, then he brings in D'Angelo Russell and then trades D'Angelo Russell away, which then turns into James Wiseman, and then trades James Wiseman away. So
I mean, that was a dumb draft. He can't get credit for James Wiseman anything.
true. I mean, that was a very risky move. I will say that.
And you're being nice. I think that was a fucking dumb move.
That is me being nice. You're right.
But yeah,
anyway,
the Warriors at a turning point. Like, are you going to run it back? What are we going to do here? So, right. I don't think Mr. Myers wanted anything to do with it.
I agree. And so honestly, any team in the league could benefit from signing Myers to be their GM.
Oh, he'll be somewhere.
Oh, 1,000%. That, like, there are so many of these bad teams that could benefit from Myers. So,
hey, there's a team, up the coast or down the coast, wherever the hell they are. It's getting a brand new arena, plenty of bathrooms. But that's pretty bad when you have to convince your fans to come to, not because our team's going to be good, but because we have a ton of bathrooms. Which
don't have to wait in line.
I am super grateful for that because and it continues to happen and I hate it. Is it you have this time between halftime to go do what you got to do. Plenty of time to take a piss, get a pretzel, a beer, and get back to your seat before the second half starts. There should not be empty seats to start the second half.
Agreed.
So I'm going to be interested to see how that factors. I'm going to be watching the Clippers to see how the addition of additional bathrooms works out.
True. I mean, it should be nice having their own stadium, so then you don't have to always be like the redheaded stepchild of the Lakers. But
I like to go to the bathroom though, not at halftime because everybody goes to the bathroom at halftime. And there's nothing worse than going to the bathroom when there's 17 other guys standing next to you holding their dicks, making weird noises and stuff, grunting. You ever hear those people go to the bathroom and it's
yes.
I cannot understand why guys do this.
I'm like, what are you grunting about? If you're grunting, that's a medical issue.
You ever hear guys do this? There's some guys that'll come in, they're breathing heavy, harder than I do after eating Thanksgiving dinner. They're breathing that hard, and then they're and then once they finally go, they're like, ugh.
I know. It's
I don't understand what is going on.
I'm just if you have to grunt like that, you should get that checked out.
You should get your prostate checked out.
Yes.
1,000%. And if you're sitting there, say you're taking a shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you get this one guy who comes in the bathroom who you feel like is going to assault you.
Yep.
Because he's making all these weird noises. He's talking to himself. He's like, I can't fucking say this. And you're like, I don't know what this guy's saying, but I think should I pull my pants up?
Right. Am I about to die?
Am I in danger? I mean, not that I'm scared of anybody, but I would be more bothered not by being attacked. But if you're going to attack me, can you at least wait till I wash my hands?
Right.
Because then when I kill you, at least I want to have clean hands.
Or at least let me have my pants up too.
Right. Let me wipe my ass and let me wash my hands before I beat the snot out of you right here in the bathroom for being such a fucking crazy wacko.
Right.
But if you're a guy, stop doing that. Stop grunting, stop breathing heavy, and stop talking. And for crying out loud, do not talk to me if you're in the next urinal over when I'm taking a piss.
Yes. Let everybody have their own damn urinal time. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
I don't even want to talk. Like, I have a hard enough time making conversation when I don't have my dick in my hand. And now all of a sudden you want to come here and you want to talk about the weather?
Or like, oh, that last shot.
Yeah.
Stop.
Oh, nice night out tonight, huh? It's like it was until you came up to me, you weirdo.
Breathing heavy and
talking.
I
hate guys that do that.
I also agree about the halftime thing, though. I like to go to the bathroom in between the first and second quarter or at the beginning of the second quarter.
Yeah, oh yeah. Plus, it's so hard to get in these damn seats.
That's also true. If you have a middle seat, that's the most annoying thing. I try to not get up at all if I'm in the middle.
And I'm a big dude, so I generally try not to, like, I'm not like huge, but I'm wide, you know. Like you know me, like I'm a chubby fat, like I'm a mixture of fat and muscle. So I'm wide though, and when I sit in these seats, they're perfect for these guys of today who weigh 162 pounds and like eat healthy and stuff. And you know, it's like, why are these guys so fucking small?
I know, and then
then they cross their legs, and they cross their legs when they sit. You ever see these guys that cross their legs when they sit?
I don't know how that's comfy.
I'm like, can you stop doing that? And they're moving, and they don't just cross their legs, but they cross it like over the other one to the point where their ankle is
where they're like on top of each other. Yeah,
right. And I'm like, how are you doing that?
That hurts in multiple ways when I try to do that. I don't know how they do it.
Right. So, like, eat a sandwich, because these seats. That's why I try to go to like the club box or something.
Makes sense. Club box is a great time.
Yeah, it's the best.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
No, just don't talk to me when I'm taking a piss.
All right. We'll end it on that. Stop talking to us when we're trying to take a piss.
I mean, if you did, that's fine. Like if it's your buddy.
Well, yeah, that's different.
But if I don't know you, don't come up to me and start talking to me when I'm taking a piss.
No. If you're a stranger, unless you guys watch the podcast, if you come up to us and you're like, and we're taking a piss and you're like, oh, big sexy, what's up? Like, that's fine.
Then I would probably laugh.
That's okay if you watch the podcast. But anybody else, stop it.
Right.
But with that being said, that's it for us. Thank you guys for watching and listening to another episode of The Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast on the #1 division in the NBA. Brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. Practice good pissing etiquette, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Shout out to the LGBTQ community. We got your back down there in Florida.
Damn right.
With those hillbillies.
Exactly. Especially because tomorrow starts Pride Month. Or tomorrow? Thursday? Thursday starts Pride Month. So there you go.
Wait, wasn't it just Pride Month already?
No, June is Pride Month.
No, I could have. LGBTQ, I love you, but stop with the months.
Pick one month.
Everybody stop with the months. Like, I get it, but just pick a day or two.
With that being said, peace.